Traversable meetoo. Okay, we got our sound check and everything going, and everything's happy. Let me get it. Okay, we got our sound check and everything going. There we go. Hello, man. Hello, MGTOWs. I hope you're all well today. Hello, PJP and Alone Capone. Hello, Jeff Burns. Hello. I see Steve Hoka Rock and Roll has been just tattooing the chat board. That's good. That's good to see. Have fun. Have fun with that. I will not complain. And we did have a Hoka sighting today. Hoka made a video earlier today scalding one of the members of the TFL organization known as TFL. And that was his thing. That's his thing. I just woke up. So I made some coffee, and it's been quite a day. I got back, and I ate a turkey sandwich, like most people do on these days after the holidays. I ate a turkey sandwich. And this time, whatever they put in that turkey, wow, 3 hours of straight rest. I laid on my lazy boy chair, and luckily I woke up. I was like, oh, my Lord. I fell asleep, and Dougie was rather mad at me because I left him staring at me for 3 hours. So I like to just say hello at this time, kind of get my bearings, and welcome to MGTOW. Welcome to MGTOW, man. And if you haven't been here before, you're welcome, and go your own way. Go your own way, and all your sins of the past are forgiven. Once you do one of Traversable MGTOW streams, and you're forgiven, you can go on your life and never worry about that again, because you will never be a simp again. Oh my. So the topic today is Black nationalism, the rise of Black nationalism. And we get to see it around here a lot, the rise of Black nationalism. I've been putting to test a few things. I run little moles and little tests so I can quantify what I'm talking about, and see if I can run it through a truth test and see if what I believe is true. And I've been going over to a lot of these quite risque, I guess we'll just call them bigoted sites, and and just hanging out and lurking. And all I do is I put "what's up," and I put "what's up" there, and I see if anybody answers me. And I've been doing this for about 2 years, and I've been going over the King Riches, and I say, "What's up? How you guys doing?" And nobody answers. I'm a white guy, and I go over to Soto's, and I "What's up?" and nobody answers. And I go over to quite a variety of, and I say, "What's up? How are you all doing today?" And nobody answers me. Well, I'm that thing. I'm that aged white guy that everybody fears in this world. Feminists fear us. Black groups fear us. Most people fear us, and we're the problem of all the world right now. Aging white guys. So nobody's talked to me in 2 years. The only people that have talked to me in 2 years on these the more sites and the are pretty much people saying, "Joe, you're a bigot." You're a racist, which could be farther from the truth. I don't think I'm that. Steve Hoke is in the chat, flooding the chat with "I am confused." You're not confused, Steve. You're just put on a very confusing planet. So I'd like to say hello to everybody, and I hope you're having a great day. It's who had turkey leftovers today? Did everybody have turkey leftovers today? And that's pretty much do you have turkey soup or turkey a la king or turkey sandwiches or turkey this and turkey that, and turkey goes on forever after Thanksgiving. But it's a good thing, and it's always great to have an abundance of food around your house so product like that lasts for a while. I end up freezing mine, so I'll freeze it, and that's about it. And I'll pull it out at some later date when I'm not overdosed on turkey. So today we're talking about black nationalism, white nationalism, and we'll talk about it in the perspective of where it matters. Where it matters to me is it's creeping its way into MGTOW, IBMOR, the black manosphere, the white manosphere. We got quite a few sides. We can measure these things. They say since in the last 2 years, nationalism or racism has been on the rise in America, and you can measure it by the size of the groups, and we can measure it by the amount of the groups, and that seems to be double plus in the last 2 years. But the national standard since 2001 on black nationalist groups, from 2001 to 2017, they haven't, such as like Louis Farrakhan and Maliki Shabazz, Maliki Shabazz, what a great name, and the Nubian National of Moors, the Nation of Islam, and the New Black Panthers. They call themselves the New Neo. They should call themselves something like the Neo Black Panther Party. That's the SPLC. The SPLC has determined all these groups racist, but they also give the facts on it. Why since 2000, there's been 48. There were 48 groups back then. Now there's 233. It went up from 113 to 233, doubling in size in the last 2 years since 2014, or in the last few years. And I can see the rhetoric, the Black Panther national rhetoric. And I used to focus just on guys like Gavin McInnes and David Duke, and who's that kind of flaky guy that's getting a divorce. He's learning how America really works right now, and he's getting his first divorce, and he'll learn what it's like to actually be a slave, and he'll get to play that off. There's groups such as these groups, they're supremacist groups, was what they are, not such as the KKK or the neo-Nazis, the white national groups. I used to work for the SPLC about 10 years ago, maybe 10 to 14 years ago, after I got my private detective license that I soon realized I didn't want to do. Yeah, I went to that course. That was interesting. It was something to do while I was unemployed, so I took a course, and that was it. And then I started working for the SPLC. That was a long time ago, back in what seems like a different life now, before I was MGTOW, about 14 years ago. And the rhetoric's the same on all these things. The Farrakhan describes Catholics and Jews like gutter religions, and they both of the parties, or both of these things, and the neo-Nazis, the KKK or the white nationalists, they say there's this powerful Jew enemy out there that runs everything, and they're behind the NGOs, and they're behind the New World Order, and they're behind this, and that's what I always often call they're shooting at, they're fencing with dragons. That it comes from the book Don Quixote, where he thought a windmill was a dragon because he was crazy. Yeah, he was crazy, and he had a sidekick with him, and he was fencing with a windmill, and he thought it was a dragon. And that's so true in life. Most of these people need an enemy. Everybody needs an enemy. When you have a group such as that, you have to make someone. And Elijah Muhammad and Louis Farrakhan, they say they called the blue-eyed devil. So they immediately refer to the people that they hate as devils, or these incarnate creatures that are metaphysical, incorporeal, and these things. And I think it's funny, because I don't believe in the incorporeal. I believe in the corporeal. I believe in this. I believe in this. That's a door. It sounds like that. It's a door. And they believe that white folks are, have this undertone hate for them, and which I find very. I don't think about other races or religions most of the time during the day, unless I'm irritated by them. And unless I'm irritated by groups like that. Otherwise, I'd go months and months without thinking about anything like that. And so they believe that this hate, this is on, and they have to defend themselves against this hate. The Farrakhan is probably a really good example of a black nationalist, and it's the same thing as white nationalism, but it's it's birthing itself and is growing on YouTube. And you would think that would not happen, since YouTube has taken a solid stance on these groups. They're trying to get them off. They got Alex Jones off. I think they're in the process of getting Gavin McInnes off of YouTube, and they've kicked him off of Twitter, and then most of the accounts will not have it. But sometimes when it's like it's like an octopus. Those little octopus that go into the English Channel. You cut one in half, or you chop it up, and it becomes 6 of them. That's what happens with a lot of these things. It's the octopus. Can't get rid of it. It just grows, and every time you throw a spear at it, you risk making more of them. And I think that's what happens in these cases. And especially since 2014, when Trump stirred up a lot of anti-Semitic hate, and a lot of anti-white hate, and a lot of hate by the white people, a lot of anti-black hate, and a lot of I was watching this one woman earlier today. It was Cindy Hyde Smith in Georgia. She was running for governor, and she says some of the damnedest things, and it's just white racism, and we have black racism. But what I'm concerned about most of the time is in this racism thing is it comes to MGTOW, and most of us know that the thing that all of MGTOW share is we're all men, and we're all men under the same sort of pseudo-religious government that wants us for the same purpose. They want our bodies to be used as for labor, and they want us to build things, and they want us to do things for them. And they want slaves, and that's how they get them. They get it through the divorce system. They get it through the child birthing system. Once you have a man's family, you have him. And I've experienced that. Most of you guys experienced that. Don't go after the man. He will fight back. Go after his family, and then he will follow. Let me check on the check back and see where can I send my resume. Steve Hoka's double has been hey, Death for Kings. Let me do some shout outs here. Hey, Alone Capone and Death for King, and there's Steve Hoka is in the Joey, I think Joey Aragon was in, Jeff Burns is in. Hello, Jeff, and hope you're all doing well today and all that stuff. Today we're just kind of going over black nationalism and white nationalism and MGTOW, and it disturbs everything about MGTOW because, like I said, one sure thing is that that we're all men, and we share this thing in common, and we share this sort of common enemy. And the common enemy for us is the state's archaic and barbaric laws that they have for men. And they are archaic, they are barbaric, they put us in systems of slavery, and that is always let me pull this. This is there we go. I pulled up this after I got home from my bike ride, and my arms are getting a little fatter up there, so it doesn't quite fit the same as last year. Oh yeah. So it disturbs the MGTOW, and it gives us something that we really don't want around here. And what we don't want around here is all those subtle distractions. This is one I made. So I'm going to have a beer while I'm doing this. That's what my beer looks like. Nice, huh? And that's delicious. It's a really dark malt. You have to roast your own malt to do that. And then, oh, wow. Looks like Guinness. Yeah, it does. That's what I was trying. I was trying to model it after a porter. I don't know if I can get a light on it so you can see. Let me grab one of these string lights. And I was trying to model it after a porter, and it's really dark. And I mean, but I got a little too dark. And but it is delicious. And it was double spurged, triple spurged. I triple spurged it with 4 gallons of water. But it's still got that dark. And if you brew, you'll know what spurging is. It's watering the malt down. And but today we're talking about white nationalism, black nationalism, and I know this isn't a popular subject, and I know it's something that's going to bother people when you say, "Don't do that, man! Don't do that thing," because it distracts from the MGTOW. And I'm not the blue-eyed devil, and they're not the brown-eyed devil, and there's no demons out there, and that's just the way it is. So I'm going to harp on this for a little while, and I don't care if anybody. And I'm going to start calling out names, and when I start hearing those racist comments coming from them, I'm going to call them out just like I would call out a white nationalist. And that's about it. That's about it on that. There's been a lot of topics I would want to talk about today, and yeah, I was listening to this kid talk about neoteny. He was a new kid last night. I seen my buddy. The gangster over there, and he was talking about neoteny, and he was talking about white knighting and neoteny and white knighting, and he related to white knighting. He says he said that when these gentlemen white knight, and he says it's all about ascertaining the access to procreation, in other words, sex. He said and I said, no, white knighting is really not about sex. I can't remember a thing. You guys raise your hand if you've ever white knighted in your youth, and I have. I think most people have, and anybody that says they never had an experience like that where you've seen a female getting thrown to the floor, popped in the face in a bar, and you didn't jump forward and try to make that stop. In MGTOW, we learned to control those emotions like we learned how to control our most of our drives. That's what MGTOW is about. It's learning how to control your drives. And what I noticed one day is them same things. What happens in most white knighting thing is because the female is neotenous and she's like childlike, and all men have this thing inside of them. It's protect and provide. It's protect them. It's in your lizard brain. There's nothing you can do about it. It's a mechanicism that goes back probably to caveman times when saber-toothed tigers were chasing us around, and Tyrannosaurus rexes were trying to eat us. And that's just the way it is for human beings on this planet. The planet's a rough place to work. Evolution worked. We lived through that. They didn't live through that, but we carried on this thing where this protector mode, where the men would always watch out for the children because there were dangers. There were cliffs to fall off. There was pterodactyls to run from. There was crocodiles the size of your house. And we retained a little bit of that in your lizard brain. And then evolution precluded that we grew too at the same time, but our lizard brain really hasn't grown. We grew another brain from that lizard brain, and that's your secondary cortex, and we evolved from that. but I don't. There's this myth in MGTOW about when a person white knights, he's always thinking about access to the split V. That could be farther from the truth. And even though it is a convenient lie and it lays right in there with the MGTOW, I think it is a lie, and we have to call these things out. Most white knighting is a product of the lizard brain, and it's a product of female neoteny. When they're white knighting for a female, the female puts makeup on. Neoteny is the ability of adult creatures to retain a childlike disposition or a childlike nature. They move like children. They walk like children. They're about as strong as children. They're skinny like children. So what happens in the male's brain is they figure they have to protect that. And if you see a female getting slammed to the floor, your first response, and I don't care who it is, any man, because we all have the same response. And I explained this by if you ever seen a child walking towards the street, every single man that was standing around there would lunge at the child to pull the child away from the street. And it would be a contest to get to the child first, who got in and grab it and pull it back away from the busy street. And that happens to men. It's a mechanism. It's something that happens in a click, in a moment's notice. Now I remember, and I started thinking back on that 11 seconds or so. And I talk about 11 seconds in your life a lot. I used to talk about author the 11 seconds in your life. And it's a very good Joe program to do. You author 11 seconds in your life once in a while. That means the best example I give is when you're walking in the house with 4 bags of groceries. You got to unlock the door. You got to move the door open. You got to position the groceries. You push the door slightly open, you kick it with your feet, you look around, you make sure you kick your shoes off, you're looking over here, you're looking at the shelving, you're waiting for Dougie to run in, you're looking for a place to put this bag, all the while you're thinking about the sugar needs to go there, the milk needs to go over here, the eggs, I hope I don't bust the eggs, can't wait to get into that bag of potato chips and that candy bar I bought for myself. And then you put down the bags, and then you can author about 2 or 3 pages of writing when what happens in that 11 seconds of time. And it's a little writer's trick. You might want to do it if you're writing, if you ever take a writing class. It's the same thing that happen. It's sort of like what they talk about in football with slowing down the field. You slow down the field and let your mind do the work, and then you write these things down that you've done in the past 11 seconds. Because it only takes about 11 seconds to walk through your door and put down the grocery bags. And it's an act that most people don't even think about it. But the complex nature of humanity is you're doing about 1,000 things, and then you get to see the human brain in process. The syllogisms that come from that, the ideas that come from that, you're all over the place. You're thinking about 10 things at the same time, and you're trying to keep yourself safe. You're watching for other people. You don't want to step on Dougie. He wants his can of food. There's a whole lot of things happening there, and you can get about 2 pages of writing in that, and that's about it. That's what happens. But in these things, in neoteny, in the lizard brain, in that moment where when men white knight, it happens in about the same period of time. It happens in about 11 seconds. And sometimes when you get that feeling, you might want to author it, and you might want to take a look deep inside yourself and take a look what happened in that 11 seconds and ask yourself why you did it. And I think back as a child, and I think back as an 18, 19, 20-year-old man when I was hanging around the bars and drinking a whole lot of this and waiting for a fist fight and doing those things. And my girl was around, and she's on the arm, and I'm proud of that. And most of the guys say that white knighting happens because they want access to the vagina, and I must disagree, because every time I've seen white knighting happen, I can ask any one of those guys in the room if you were thinking about access to the vagina, and they'll say, no, it just happened. I just jumped up. It was something out of the lizard brain. And if you're honest with yourself, you will say to yourself, and you'll look back at that event when it happened to you as a male, and you'll say, that's true. That there was simply no thought of sex at that moment. The thought was to make whatever, the thought was to protect. The thought was there was a neotenous creature being slammed to the floor. The thought was a neotenous creature, like a childlike figure, just got punched in the face, and nobody punches a child. And that's what your brain senses, and that's what your brain reacts to. And you have really no control over that. Most men have no control over white knighting. Then the next 30 seconds or so will be up to you after that initial 5-6 seconds where you jump up automatically in your lizard brain tells you to do that. Now you author the next 30 seconds in your life. That's when you can make a difference. That's when you can make it stop as a MGTOW. That's when you take all your MGTOW knowledge and you go, wait a second, I'm not getting involved with this. He can do whatever he wants. If he ends up in jail, I'm not going to be there, and I'm not getting in the middle. And that's usually what happens now. That's most of the time in my life, and a lot of times in most MGTOWs' lives, they're going to go, oh, no, I'm not getting involved in that one. And that's you turning off the initial mechanism that turned on white knighting. I think white knighting is something that happens natural to men. And I think it happens natural to men because we have the protect and provide of children thing, and women wear makeup, and women have small bodies, and women are like childlike creatures. They are childish, and their movements, you look at them. It's why men look at anime. It's why they retain their features from childhood, and that's a desirable feature, and for most men, and some men even take that too far into pedophilia, and that's the way the world is. And but it's all neoteny. It's why women wear makeup. It's why they project ourselves as small children. It's because they can gain the resources that's available and that sort of thing. And I was trying to explain that to a young man yesterday, and he didn't take to it too well. But as they know it all, they know. He was like, man, I'm just gonna slam this, and I'm gonna do some PUA-ing, some PUA-ing, and he had it all handled, and he didn't even know why he was reacting, and he swore to God that it wasn't about neoteny. He swore to God it was about all men just want to get laid. Now, when you think about that statement, it's like, oh yeah, that's a real feministic statement there. Feminism says all men every second of the day, that's all we do is walk around with a woody, and we just follow that around. We're like, oh, I'm just going to follow that around. And that's a very childish, immature statement about men. You don't know men at all, because most men, we don't think about that most of the day. What we're doing is thinking about how to get shit fixed, how to get shit done, how to get our jobs done, and how to make some money. And that's the way it is in the United States. And most of the time it's about how am I gonna hustle through this thing. And I'll tell you what, if you are thinking about that thing down there and that's guiding your life, you're probably a broke ass motherfucker. And attraction, let me move back away from that. And so we see the young guys come in, and it always brings up a problem when the young guys come in and they haven't done all the biological research that goes along with. Let me bring my camera up here. I can't see what's going on. There we go. There's Pretty Joe now up there, and I can see the chat. And hello, Dynamite Habit, Rabbit, hello, Gravy Back Bill, and hello, Riff Magos. Yeah, even with the sex dolls in the Uncanny Valley, Dynamite Rabbit, they put the neoteny in there. They make them smaller. They did that for a reason, because the men would automatically assume a protector sort of status over the thing. And the men would be, it would click on something in the lizard brain that we can't help. Most of us can't help that happens naturally. It's an evolutionary truth. And And men react to it. So most white knighting in those situations, let me lean back and get that out of me. Most white knighting happens because women induce neoteny. They induce that from men by putting a mask on. And I think a lot of people know that the mask is the mask they generate of youth and beauty and childlike features, and they do cutesy things like a child would. And then you're all like, oh, look at, she's so cute. And that's what happens with men. And then that provokes that lizard brain, that lizard mentality inside of men that they'll protect and they'll provide for. And that's where the trap begins, because that's when the parasitism comes in. And then all of a sudden you're wrapped up in chemicals in your brain that are 100 times stronger than morphine. You lose about 20 IQ points and you're like, derp. And you start acting like a simp, like every blue pill guy out there acts. And you start talking like an idiot, like every blue pill guy out there comes around and tries to explain MGTOW to us and the PUAers of MGTOW. Wow. Boy, those guys are a special group. So biologically, there's a lot of things to know in MGTOW, and why we do things, why we act the way we did, how we can inhibit our natural impulses to do these things. And then once you master them, that's what Monk's about. Monk is about mastering yourself. Monk is about mastering every part of your world, and your world only extends 3 feet out from you. And if you can't master that extension of 3 feet out from you, that's your reach extension, at least in law. That's what they say. You have the right. Don't talk about lizard brain. You'll attract David Icke. I've seen the face. I can kind of ring up the face, David Icke, and but yeah, it's a real thing. And for most of the guys around here, if you don't know what the lizard brain is, it's where the brain, the right at the tip of your backbone is a ball about that big of mass, and that's the first brain that developed, and it runs all our motor functions, and it doesn't take thought. It just runs your heart, it runs your body, it makes movement, and it does everything natural. And a lot of things happen from the lizard brain that we wouldn't like to happen, and we're trying to evolve out of the secondary cortexes and stuff are actually evolutionary processes that happen. We actually have 2 brains, I guess, and that's what makes us special. We are special boys. We are the apex, creature on this planet. We are the apex predator on this planet. Ike is out here. Is Ike out of here? I don't know who is, and I'll have to check that out, Riff. There's werewolfery among. Yeah, David Icke. I could see the face. He's the boy with the blonde hair with the rounded face. He's kind of TFL-ish, or I'm not really sure. Hello, pretentious hermit. So I'm still waking up, and this is you get to see Joe in the process of waking up. I woke up about, I do this every morning, a coffee and a beer. No, not really. Oh, man. It was quite a day today. Dougie's been outside most of the day. He loves it. It was a 47-degree day, so early in the morning this morning, I took a nice bike ride. I put my sweater on and took a nice bike ride in the 47, and that's about the best I'm going to get and I can hope for. You'll have to forgive me. I just got back from the bar, and I was several shots shy of sober. Oh, that's okay, pretentious hermit. That's perfect. Hey, as long as you're having fun, it's Friday night. I think it's Friday night. Is it Friday still? I didn't even check today. Yeah, it's Friday. And that's what men do. We go out, we get a steak on Friday night. I just indulged in the rest of the turkey from yesterday, and it put me to sleep. Uh, I still have one plate left. I got 3 plates yesterday, so that was a good thing. And now I got one plate left, and I got to figure out. I think Dougie and me will split that tomorrow. And I made a big pot of soup today, so that's going to be. Oh, that's going to be quite a chore. I was going to make matzo balls. Uh, I was learning how to make homemade matzo balls, so I had to make a big pot of soup. So I took this big, huge chicken thing I had in the freezer, and I threw it in some water, and I filled the pot up about halfway with some vegetables and made chicken soup. Now I got a whole month's worth of chicken soup because, you know, being a single guy, there ain't nobody eating it but me. So I got to figure out how to bag it and freeze it. I got freezer bags. I'll bag it and freeze it, and I'll have soup for the rest of the year or the rest of the winter, whenever I want it. Do not understand the power of werewolfery. Talking about lizard aliens and other dimensions. No, we're not talking about that. I had some thoughts about aliens and animatronics, actually, and I was going to work it into this podcast, but I just lost the frame that I was in at that moment. And I was going to tell a story today about nationalism. About when I was growing up, I had a friend. His name was Kerry. Kerry was. What did he call himself? He didn't call himself Puerto Rican. He didn't call himself Spanish. He was white Spanish. So he was like a white guy, but he was Spanish, and he called himself something, a Chicano or something. I think he called himself a Chicano, and I don't know what Chicano means, if it's offensive. He said, "No, Joe, I'm a Chicano." And I said, "Okay, Kerry, that's cool. You could be anything you want to be." And I was struggling through xenophobia, and I couldn't understand why people hated me, and I couldn't understand why the sign was up on the thing, "No Irish people allowed in the country club," and I couldn't understand why the blacks were mad at the whites and the whites were mad at the blacks. And Kerry was like, "Hey, I can explain that to you, Joe," and he did a very good job of it. And it's one of those lessons in my life that's stuck in my brain, and it has to do with the animatronics of things. It's when people draw cartoons, and the cartoons look like they're human. The animals look like they're human. And why do we put human characteristics to everything? When we do aliens or we do lizard people, the aliens and the lizard people always have human features, because that's the only way we think. We do this with xenophobia too. We do this with as humans. We do this with our races and our cultures. He says, "Joe," it was at his house, and he says, "Look at," and there's Jesus. Jesus was up on the wall, and I said, and he says, "Look at Jesus." And I noticed that his Jesus, and there's a million different Jesuses. Every culture has a Jesus. His Jesus was a Hispanic Jesus. And then he says, "Does that Jesus look like the Jesus you have in your home?" And I go back, and I was thinking about the Jesus picture that my mother had and put up on her. My mother was like one of these Mother Mary Catholics. She put it up on the wall, and there's a picture of the white Jesus. And then he says, you go to a black person's house, and they'll have the picture of the black Jesus. So they got the Hispanic Jesus, the white Jesus, and the black Jesus. And that's where we're all confused with our religions and stuff. But everybody has the concept of the devil too. And Kerry says to me, "Xenophobia is about the concept of the devil." And he says, "When I look in my book, you know what the devil looks like?" And I said, "Kerry, what does the devil look like?" And he says, "He looks like you, Joe." And I was like, "Wow." And he says, "Yeah, the devil in all the Hispanic writing looks like the white man. And the devil in the English writing looks like some of the Jewish culture, and the devil in black looks like the white blue-eyed devil that they talk about. Everybody has this blue-eyed devil, and the devil is the perception. And for some cultures, the devil would be, I think Mark Twain said his in the American culture of that time, he explained the devil as a black man standing on a roof. That comes from the Portia of Tom Sawyer, where they went out into the woods, and he was talking about the devil dragging. He had to carry the devil through the bayou for 30 miles or so, and that was his task in life. But Mark Twain said that was his concept. So we all have this concept of xenophobia and the devil. And what does the devil look like? Well, he looks like the person that's your enemy, xenophobia, the person that's going to come and take your crops, and you have to sword fight with at that time. And so each culture, the devil represents the person of another culture. And that's xenophobia in a nutshell. And religion kind of tends to cultivate that kind of nationalism. And xenophobia is nationalism on steroids. It's all for the group, and your group of people that look like you, that talk like you, that you feel comfortable around. And I'll never say it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing that I go around Irish people, because Irish people, I feel comfortable. I see faces like mine. I see people like me. And it makes me feel good, and we relate, and we talk the same, and we walk the same, and we think the same. And there's just people, and Hispanic people do that, and black people do that, and that's great. We have cultural festivals where you can be around people just like you, and Polish people do it, and Russian people do it. They gather up. Chinese people and Korean people do it too, and that's a great part about America. We have all these people that live in the communities that they feel more comfortable, and that's okay to feel comfortable around people like you. It's the nationalism thing. It's when those people group up and they start hating everything other than themselves. And that's kind of bred into us from religion, because we all have our white Jesuses, we have our black Jesuses, we have all kinds of Jesus. When it comes to the devil represents with the same thing as we do with alien movies. Why do the aliens look like us humans? Well, they just look like us. That's why does that? Why do the aliens have to look human? It's like we do the same thing with people in xenophobia. We specify what the devil would look like, and those things, and that's when we have to start checking ourselves. That's when I don't know. First of all, the devil's a made-up concept. I've never met him. If you've met him, let me know. If you were at those crossroads, you let me know, and let me know what he did look like. So I'll keep an eye out for him. But I don't believe in those things. So the whole concept to me, whereas from the, I was raised a hippie Catholic boy, but I don't think I've ever believed in those things. I would just smile and go, yeah, right. Yeah, that's a good story. That's what I would say. It's a good story. It's got a lot of essence to it. And but I don't believe in the devil. I don't believe in hell. I don't believe in a lot of those things. In my old age, I'm very vehement about not getting carried away by incorporeal thoughts, about incorporeal things, about metaphysical things and metaphysics. And I don't let those things carry me away. Everybody's got a devil. MGTOW's got the devil, and you can imagine the devil is a woman. In MGTOW, the devil is feminism. In MGTOW, we have those same things. And the black nationalists, their devil are blue-eyed devils. They look just like me. I have blue eyes. I'm an old white. And matter of fact, in feminism, their devils are old men like me that run the world. We're the NGOers. We're the New World Order. Yeah, they forgot to send me my checks with those coupons. I didn't get my coupons in the mail, and I'm kind of pissed about that, because if there is this imaginary this real thing, this patriarchy and shit, Yet they say I've never met them, and I didn't receive my check, so I'm really mad about that, because I should be living in grandeur style if that was with my I think with my my levels of comprehension, at least, and my levels of education, and my terrifyingly good looks, that I would move up quite efficiently in this in this society if there was this patriarchy, which I didn't I wasn't privy to being a part of. So now I'm really mad because they left me out. And then I got all the black guys over here telling me that I'm the same thing. There's this the man. I'm part of that man culture where hey, the man forgot to send me the check, and maybe it's because I'm Irish and I'm so much prettier than they are, and I think that's probably it. That's why I make that joke, because it must be. Because I didn't get the check in the mail. And yeah, Me Too has got their demon. I don't know what the Me Too demon is. He's some rapist, and there's this rapist, Slender Man rapist, running around out there. And Slender Man too is Slender Man started a creepy pasta on YouTube, a bunch of girls out of control imagination about what they fear the most in life. And what they fear the most in life is the woods, and a tall Englishman with what do you call those hats that they wear? Those, and then he becomes this stick monster and he rapes them. But we all have those demons, and that's what xenophobia is about. And I wish we can cut the crap on a lot of this stuff and just say, hey, that's from farming cultures, and it's a mechanicism, and we can get over it. It's just like getting over white knighting when you're a MGTOW. You just have to get in touch with those 11 seconds where that happens, because the next 30 seconds are going to be what's important. The decisions you make after that mechanicism jumps in and you kind of get yourself under control. The next 30 seconds is the 30 seconds where you can do the MGTOW thing and just walk away from that. And that's what MGTOW is about, learning how to deal with all these evolutionary drives that we have. You can make better decisions, learning how to deal with that sex drive, learning how to deal with a lot of things in life, that desire. And I don't think desire is the same thing as a sex drive. They're two totally separate things. And I think you have to deal with learning how to put away desire in you. And that's what we talk about when we talk about hobbies, and we talk about other things on our mind. What am I going to do today when I wake up? Do I have an agenda? Do I have a schedule? Do I have things that will entertain me? And that's my responsibility. It's my responsibility 100% to entertain myself. And then we forget about those desires, those evolutionary desires, and we put those become second nature. Like I say, when you're working on your car, if you're thinking about that, you ain't getting the car fixed, bitch. And I've never seen a man that worked on his car and thought about that, because it doesn't happen. We put those things away. We get in touch with the ways on doing that. And I think white knighting's that way. I think being a simp, I don't simp anymore. We don't, we just kind of smile and grin when we see it, because it looks pretty ridiculous. Once you put yourself and step outside the box as a MGTOW, you get out off the plantation, and the plantation is the box. And as a MGTOW, you step outside of the box and you look at all the silly people acting silly inside the box, and you just smile and you get a big grin on your face and go, yeah, they look pretty silly. All that foolishness, all that drama, all that white knighting, all that simping. Look at that guy. He's white knighting. And then you start realizing what exactly it is inside of you. And it can be controlled. And it can be controlled. I've seen the youngest of men to the oldest of men control it. And I've seen the youngest of men being simps to the oldest of men being simps. Some of the worst simps I've seen in this world were guys 20 years older than me. Uh, and that's pretty simpish, and that's pretty pathetic. And but we can't get those things under control, and we become better men. We can become men above reproach, and then we don't have to worry about me too. We don't have to worry about getting accused. We don't have to worry about a lot of those hates and those demons everybody works up in their mind, because we're not part of them. I was hoping that sometime during this evolution, this evolutionary period of the red pill awakening and MGTOW, and that the whole world would be able to put away racism too, and just say, hey, that's pretty, we'll get in touch with that thing, that xenophobia inside of us, that we all have this different colored Jesus, and we get in touch with that, and and say, hey, that's pretty silly. And it's not the 11 seconds when it happens. It's the 30 seconds that you open your mouth after it happens. That's the thing you can get in touch with. It's going to happen. Catechism is going to happen. It's hurting cultures, and it's from years and years of hurting cultures where we had to fight off warriors, and we had to pound our plows into swords, and pound our swords back into plows and plow the field. And if someone attacked your field, you had to pound it back into a sword and go fight. You had to fight off predators. You had to fight off human predators and people that wanted to take that. All the while, you're trying to raise crops and some animals so you can feed your family, and then you have to worry about someone coming taking your wife and your family. That's the way the world works, and that's the way it worked back then, and that's what xenophobia is. And it's from hurting cultures. That's all it is. But that's a mechanicism too, because people used to not act like that, because before pre-farming cultures, I don't know how they acted. And it was protect the children from the saber-toothed tigers, before we figured out how to beat bones into tools and metal into swords. But I think MGTOW is one of those places that got truly in touch with how to cut those things off, how to say, no, I'm not going to do those things anymore. And one of those things, sorry about that, one of those things that we don't do is we realize at some point here in MGTOW is that we're all men, every single one of us. Brown skin, white skin, blue-eyed, brown eyes, black skin, purple skin, gray skin, whatever you got, yellow skin. What we all have in common here, and what we all have in common with that common, is we're under a lot of stress as men in this time. And most of that stress comes by the unnatural demands that are placed on males for being everything. And we don't really have time for all the silly crap that used to go around when we were running away from saber-toothed tigers. Let the girls be, let them do what they want. I could care less what feminism is doing. If there's such a thing, I don't think there's such a thing as feminism. I think by nature they do what they do, and it's gynocentrism, and it's biology, and it's evolution. By nature, even Marx said one of the biggest fears in his life was this conglomeration, what he called a conglomeration of females would happen. And boom, was he right on that one. Marx called it back then, and that's what they do. They group up and they talk within themselves, and they do funny things, and they act certain ways because they have smaller body sizes than us. They don't have chest sizes like we have. They don't have the ability to lift 300-400 pounds like some of us do, except for the betas. They don't have the ability to run that distance in that time. They can't do it. So they have to figure out other methods to do that. And one of those methods that they have is that neoteny. They can pretend that they can enact things within us and get us in those traps. Yeah, pretentious hermit. There are no more tigers out there, and there are no Bengal tigers or saber-toothed tigers. But we do have, yeah, we do have predatory capitalism, and I think that's what you're talking about when you talk about creditors. We have predatory capitalism. We have human predators too. We have greedy people in this world now, and especially in America and the Western culture that we always talk about. I was going to do a reading from this book I have in front of me. It was about Iran and the clerics in Iran. I was reading up on them, and they were talking about the evils of the Western culture and everything. But yeah, we have predatory capitalism and running amok. And I don't think predatory capitalism is any better than what they call socialism, because it puts one group of person on the top, and we have this system that floats on this bar for the people, and the people decide. And whether you go from one end of the bar to predatory capitalism or to total socialism, they're both equally as wrong. And the banks are out of control. I talk about that all the time with creditors, and we got everything's too expensive, and most people are $5,000 to $10,000, $15,000 in debt, and most people can't even most people can't even come up with what they said, $1,500 without having to take a loan on that, because we're so far behind. We're living pillar to post, and inflation's going up, and man, it's a tough world to live in. But what there will always be is human predators that want to take it. They think everything you own is theirs. Uh, they just have to figure out how to get it, and that's predatory capitalism, and it's just as bad as predatory socialism. Uh, why stick up for the rich when you can stick up for yourself and stay in the middle and keep out of all that garbage? But I think there's some lessons in backlash that America still, especially America, still has to learn, and the Russians have already gone through it with the Burgess, and the backlash from predatory capitalism on unhinged was Leninism and Stalinism, and Stalinism was more about traditionalism and the battle between traditionalism and bringing your country into a age of mechanicism, mechanisms, new machines, and stuff like that. But I think Lenin was a good example of the backlash of the Burgess, and or if you're French, bourgeoisie. So with my program, we still have a lot of growing to do, and you would think with all the great scholars that we've had and the great educational system, everybody would be kind of on the same page with this. But hey, people fall through the cracks, and people have hard lives, and not everybody's born next to a university, and not everybody gets a chance to go. And some people read, and some people read well, and some people don't read well at all. And ideas are products from books, and that we can share with each other. And that's the way MGTOW is. We're sharing ideas about a better world, and all that is our male idea of a utopian world. So we are, in essence, we are very progressive. You know what? I was thinking a while ago that MGTOW is progressive as fuck. We got a utopian ideas of this world, and we have we were anti-marriage, and that's progressive, and that's the same as the feminists. The feminists are anti-marriage, but they want to marry each other, and they want to marry their cats, and they want to marry dogs, and they want to marry like dolls. And I think MGTOW is going down that slippery slope of that slippery slope of the uncanny valley, because it won't be long before they're marrying up their dolls and having happy ceremonies. And I can't wait. There was that one guy in Japan. I think he married his girl pillow. He had a girl pillow that he used to cuddle up with. And you remember that? And back before the big doll craze was the girl pillows, and that never caught on. And he has rubber dolls before that, and plastic dolls, and it's all out of control. And that's just people acting like people. Did someone marry a train station? Dynamite Rabbit? Because I would have liked to seen that. That would have been cool. I got to watch that video because that would have been cool. I'll be just grinning and smiling and being like, "You jackass," because that's what I do. Because I can find the entertainment in it, and I think that's what most MGTOW do. We start watching TV again sooner or later. First, we censor ourselves from all outside influences to give us time to reboot our red pill thing, and then the red pill shock and the red pill rage has to go away, and then we reboot, and then we can finally start filtering out what I want to be and what I want to do and the activities that I want, and finally I can watch TV shows now without getting like totally triggered, and it takes years and years of practice on that, but hey, I can do it now, and without getting so triggered by some. I seen a horrible. They did any of you guys see the unveiling of the Satan God today in California? I think it was. I don't know. They took the Satan effigy, to an unknown location, and I thought, wow, that's pretty scary, taking the Satan effigy to an unknown location. That's Bilderberg shit. Where they can all worship the Satan. But they had some pretty. I watched a video earlier, and there he had some guy, and he was crazy as, and he was speaking, and the first thing they showed was this purple haired girl with the feminist glasses, and I was like, there it is, the purple haired with the glasses, worshiping a Satan doll. And I was just ready to throw up at that point. I couldn't take it. Was one of the first times in a while that I couldn't take just watching something. I was like, that is so horrible. That's reverse religionism on steroids with crazy all mixed in. Don't know about California. I just got out there, and looking back, don't want to turn into a salt lick. Never look back. Never look back. You're gonna turn it. Yeah, leave that thing. There was a good analogy on Lot and his wife in that story. And the Lord said, "Don't look back." And I think it was just it's a good analogy. There's good lessons in those things if you read it responsibly. Yeah, now we're getting into the read the Bible responsibly thing, and that's what they did in England in the 14th and 13th, 12th century. They didn't release the book. That's the book everybody had. It's like they didn't have Darwin to read, and they didn't have Uncle Tom's Cabin, or all these great literature that we have now. They had one book, and that was the Bible, and that's where they read it. They learned to read, or they didn't learn to read, and from there that taught you mathematics, and it brought on a philosophy in your life. And most philosophies are symbols and mathematics, but they started saying, no, we can't have the poor people because they'll go all crazy and start drawing up whatever they want. So I can't remember what they called that era. when they were holding the Bible back from the poor masses, because those were the stupid people, and they're only stupid because they didn't have anything to read. Which is a vicious circle of stupid. But hey, our world's gone through a lot of those vicious circles of stupid, and the humans can go to really, really low places when you let them. And I think we're about to experience one of those periods here with the white nationalism and the black nationalism, and the things are seemingly ready to explode on each other. And I'm trying to talk some sense into them, and they're not listening. And at a certain point, I'll just do the MGTOW thing, and I'll step aside and say, hey, I'm going to walk away from this. You guys just have a ball with that, because I kind of know what's going to happen. It'll be like every high school race fight. And then there's the horror and the screaming and the authorities, and then it'll end, and there'll be some blissful period after that. But we can only warn them. A lot of authors in the past have tried to warn us about our ways, and I think Marx is one of those people that tried to warn us. He said, if you do this, this is going to happen, and there's going to be backlash. And then we see that one of the words I often use, it's the largest word in the dictionary, and that came from one group arguing with one group, so they put an ism, and then it says, then they put another group, the anti, and then there was an anti-ism up against this ism, those people that had this idea. And that's how those things go. And before you know it, they were fighting over something else. But that's the way humans are. They'll take things way far. Anti-establishmentarianism. Yes, that's the one. I couldn't remember that for a second. But are you kind of surprised that I can pronounce it? Establishmentarianism. Yeah, that's the longest word. But if you dissect that word, you had the establishment, and then you had establishmentarian, and then someone had done anti-establishmentarianism. Then it's like it developed. It was a process. I laugh at that when I look at it, because you had to have 4 different segments of time. You have these people that were doing something, and these people were mad at it, and then they called them this name, and then the other group said, well, I'm going to be that anti on this, and then or we're going to be the establishment, and then you're going to be not the established, and then they got the anti, and then it's like, oh yeah, 4 processes needed to happen for that thing. I think it was England during a certain segment of time. You can look that one up if you want. I've forgotten. That's one of the pieces of knowledge I've forgotten over the years. But that's the way humans are. And then comes the chaos and the screaming and the blood. That's what usually happens with those things. So in this universe that we have online going, and the universe that's going on in America right now, and the political spheres and that thing, xenophobia, race groups, hate, and that stuff is up 100 and some % from the year before. And it's growing, and somebody's got to grab hold of this thing. Somebody's got to be smarter than the rest of the people, and say, hey, this is not a very good idea. And that's going to take not just me, it's going to take a lot of people going, I don't care what you think about that, but that's never a good idea, because you're going to drag the rest of us in that. And I don't want to hear the screaming and the horror outside my house. I have trouble sleeping some nights from those kind of things, and I don't want to do it again. So we shouldn't do that in MGTOW, and we should be vigilant against it. But I have noticed as of late there is such thing as black nationalism. If you asked me 10 years ago, I would have said, well, the Farrakhan kind of resembles that, but he's, just making a point. And, but in these last 10, 15, 20 years, things have got a little hairier. And I wish they would stop, because we have horrible examples of this in history. But like always, it'll come to a zombie apocalypse and screaming and horror and people doing those things. Just ask the, people in the Balkans. Yeah. There's a most recent of what happens with that stuff, and ask the people in Rhodesia. Yeah, I suppose they will tell you about that. What happens when hate comes to visit? There's running, there's screaming, there's horrors, and there's children, and there's female lamentations, and smoke and death, and things smell like rotting flesh. I'm not really wanting to go through that, so I think it would be in MGTOW's best interest, and the best interest of everybody on the internet, and the best interest of YouTube and Google, to stop promoting that sort of garbage. And they can call it all they want. They can call it censorship. They will. They'll say, we're being censored. We're allowed to have the Satan Tao. No, you're just taking things to an extreme measure of idiocracy. And idiocracy will get them in trouble. That's what it is, idiocracy, and the belief in idiotic ideologies. Go home, read Plato, start there. That's what Marcus the Metaphysical would tell you. Everybody, go home and read Plato and start there. That's where I started. That's what Phil Philpott told me. He says, being an electrician will bust your brain, because you'll start believing in everything in life. Go home, read Plato, and start there. And that saved my life, because I probably would have shot myself in the head many times over, looking out at this world and the ridiculous and the absurdity of it. If I didn't replace what I knew, what I thought I knew, with another ideology. And I've talked about that 100 times. If you're going to do MGTOW and you're going to remove all that traditionalism from your life, replace one thing with something else that's better. And you know where to find it. It's in books. It's in videos. You can go on YouTube, and it's not all fun and keck. There are people that read whole books for you and have very good ideas. And that's what you replace it with. And you can do what MGTOW does. You can believe what you want to believe. And you can take in what you want and develop your own philosophy on life. And it's your choice. And here in America, we commend that. And you don't have to believe everything. You can believe what you want and what works for you. And that's what it's all about, putting a method in your life that works, of pragmaticism. And that's the best that it gets, because everything else really sucks. And being the human creature and a human ape and having a body and is just pain. The rest is just pain. And women will make sure that pain is multiplied by 10 if you let them. So that's all I got to say today, and I'll probably be back for another video tomorrow. I'm getting back into this thing. I have a lot of thoughts that I've been having about MGTOW lately, and the horrible way it's going, and no one's going to listen anyways, and I don't have that Marcus thing where I can be personable like that. I don't know. I think I'm the only person... the only Irish guy I know that didn't get that personable thing. I I got the other thing. I don't know what it is. But I live with it, and it's just me. So that's how I should open up every one of my say, hi, I'm Joe, and it's just me. So I'm gonna get going. I'm gonna go watch a movie, and I got I gotta make matzo crackers tonight, and so I can make the matzo balls tomorrow. And then me and my buddies gonna probably sit around and enjoy a bowl of matzo ball soup, and there's nothing better than that. And but I do it from scratch. I'm not a cheater on this thing, and so I'm gonna get going and do that. I have to strain there's a important thing about your broth. I put the chicken in today, and I put all the stuff in. Is you have to strain your broth so it's crystal clear, then it tastes better, and it looks great. And with that, I'm out. Thanks a lot for listening. If you did listen, thanks a lot for being a MGTOW. Most of all, thanks a lot for being a MGTOW, because otherwise I'd be the only MGTOW, and that would really suck. And that's what it's really about. It's about brotherhood and camaraderie, and somewhere to go with people that think like you. And there's no room for xenophobia. There's no room for racism. There's no room for hate. We can get carried away with that stuff in the real world all day long, but in MGTOW, we're supposed to be better brothers. And that's it. Thanks for being my brother in MGTOW. MGTOW.